All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into a real medical thriller, a high-speed investigation into acute liver failure.
Okay, let's set the scene. You're on call, and a patient rolls in. They're confused, not really making sense. You get labs back, and whoa, their INR is through the roof at 2.5. What's your next move? This isn't just another sick patient, you guys. This is a 5-alarm fire. Every single minute counts. We are talking about acute liver failure.
So, first things first, we gotta define the crime scene. What exactly is acute liver failure? And why does it feel like the clock is ticking a million miles an hour?
Okay, this right here, you need to burn this into your brain. Acute liver failure, or ALF, is this perfect storm, a real triad of disaster. First, you've got a massive, sudden hit to a liver that was, until recently, perfectly fine. Second, the liver's whole manufacturing plant just shuts down. It stops making clotting factors, which is why that INR shoots up to 1.5 or more. And third, all those toxins the liver's supposed to clear out start backing up into the brain, causing what we call hepatic encephalopathy, that confusion we just talked about. And the real kicker? This all happens in someone who doesn't have a history of cirrhosis. It's a bolt from the blue.
And let me be super clear about this. This isn't some slow, smoldering problem. No, this is a full-blown wildfire. A patient can go from a little confused to a deep coma in a matter of hours. What you do in those first few moments, it's absolutely, positively critical. You're the one who can stop this terrifying downward spiral. All right, time to put on our detective hats. We've got a crime scene. Now we need to find the culprit. So, who are the usual suspects? What could possibly cause a healthy liver to just collapse like this?
And wow, look at this list. I mean, it is huge. The suspects range from something as common as an over-the-counter painkiller to mushroom poisoning to a whole host of viruses. And then you've got these rare vascular issues like Budd-Chiari or even inherited metabolic problems like Wilson disease, which you've got to think about in younger folks. The point is, your initial list of possibilities, it has to be a mile wide.
So that list is long, yeah? It's intimidating. But there is one suspect that shows up way, way more often than any other. I'm talking about the #1 cause of acute liver failure in many parts of the world, and that's acetaminophen.
Listen, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. You have to suspect acetaminophen. Every single time. It doesn't matter if the patient says they didn't take any. You check. Why? Well, for one, it's incredibly common. 2, overdoses are often accidental. But the biggest reason? It's treatable. There's an antidote. And missing this diagnosis is just, it's not an option.
Okay, so we have our prime suspect and a long list of others. Now it's time to gather some hard evidence. We need a solid, step-by-step plan to figure out what's really going on here. This is your playbook. The moment you even think acute liver failure, these 3 things happen instantly. Step 1, ABCs. Check their mental status. Can they protect their own airway? That's priority number 1. Step 2, labs. Get that blood scent stat. Don't walk, run. Step 3, while you're waiting for those results, your brain is already working, running through that list of causes we just saw.
And this is the evidence you're collecting. This is your detective's toolkit. Of course, you're getting the basics: liver panel, kidney function, CBC, INR. But then you go hunting. You get a stat acetaminophen level, non-negotiable, a full tox screen to look for other culprits. You're sending off a whole panel of viral tests, Hep A, B, even HSV, which can be a sneaky cause. You're looking for autoimmune clues with an ANA and ASMA. And remember Wilson disease? If your patient is under 40, you're sending a ceruloplasmin. This isn't a random list. Each test is a clue that helps you crack the case.
All right, the lab results are starting to pop up on the screen. The investigation is giving us clues. Now your role shifts. You go from detective to battlefield commander. It's time to manage this patient and manage them hard.
And let's get one thing straight. There's no discussion on this. Every single patient with ALF goes to the ICU. Period. End of story. These patients are incredibly sick, and they need that intensive monitoring. It's the only safe place for them.
So your treatment plan has 2 arms, and you're running them both at the same time. On one side, you've got general supportive care. This is for everyone with ALF. You're keeping their blood pressure up, you're watching for brain swelling, you're giving them nutrition, you're basically keeping the ship from sinking. Then, on the other side, you have your targeted therapy, your silver bullet. If it's acetaminophen, you're giving N-acetylcysteine, or NAC. HSV, you're starting a cyclovir right away. Think of it like this. Supportive care buys you precious time. but the specific treatment is what actually puts out the fire.
Okay, now we're at what is, frankly, the toughest part of all of this. It's that moment when you have to ask the hard question, is what I'm doing enough? It's about knowing when it's time to call in the cavalry, the transplant team. And this is a really, really high-stakes judgment call. If you wait too long, your patient might be too sick to even be a candidate for a transplant. You're trying to find that critical window, that point of no return, and it is not easy.
So how do you know? You look for these big flashing red lights. Is their mental status getting worse? Like, are they going from confused to barely rousable? Is their INR still climbing even with everything you're doing? Is their blood getting more and more acidic? Are their kidneys starting to shut down? If you see any of these things, you don't hesitate. You pick up the phone and call the transplant center. The mantra here is call early, call often. It's always better to have them on board and not need them than to need them and be too late.
Because at the end of the day, here's the hard truth. Sometimes the liver is just broken beyond repair. And when that happens, there is only one thing that can save that person's life: a liver transplant. Our job, our entire goal, is to keep that patient stable enough to build a bridge so they can get to that definitive life-saving therapy.
So, yeah, acute liver failure is a race against the clock. It's going to test everything you've got: your diagnostic skills, your ability to stay calm under pressure. What we've gone over today is the game plan, the framework. But being truly ready, that comes from knowing these steps so well they become second nature. So when that patient rolls in, you're not just reacting, you're prepared to run the race.